Hello, TSO.trade here. Today we're gonna review a newly released trading indicator, which involves support and resistance levels and trading trend lines. You can find it at our website at TSO.trade. It's located under trading indicators, support, resistance with trend lines. It's already available. It can be purchased. If you wish to try it out, just contact us. Let us know your TradingView username. We'll happily grant you 1 week trial. There are some strategy configs already available for purchase. There's one free. I'll review one at the end of the video guide. So let's go back here. Once you purchase it or you were granted trial access, you can find it under invite only, or just look by author, just TSO_trade. It's support and resistance with trend lines. Our newest indicators are with brackets, so make sure there are brackets in the beginning. This warning is about another warning, which I'll explain later. Basically, when you're gonna create an alert, there's this warning right here, and it says that strategy can get repainted. This warning is correct because of there is a special feature which for live scalping, where there will be a label shown. It can be turned on. It's turned off right now. A label will be shown at the immediate breakout, and if price goes back, the label will disappear, which is basically repainting. Now, it's a special feature. It was requested from another indicator. It's really cool. We decided to just include it, even though it triggers that warning, as it does not affect the actual backtest trading engine, because trading engine works off fully closed bars. So trade open, take profit, end of day, everything is by closed bar. And I'll show later the exact feature which causes that warning. Otherwise, let's just go ahead and go one by one through all inputs of the indicator. Here's that warning again, explaining what it is. So first, the stats table. It's right here. It shows. Let me right away switch to 3 take profit targets. It shows trade direction, last take profit taken out of 1. It was 1. I just switched it to 3. Now it's 3. Current trade profit loss. This profit loss is in actual price difference. So this is custom trading date range. It's if you want a specific trading range to see the strategy tester, or if you will start trading using this indicator, you just set the start date, check here to turn it on. That way you can follow strategy tester along with real results. Make sure they match. If they don't, check the properties here. Check if anything is off. Maybe commission is not there, or whatever. If something is wrong. Next is trading session. This is for intraday trading. Right now it's set to New York with power hour included. This includes every country active trading session out there. You can switch it off completely if you're gonna trade crypto or forex or futures and you want to trade 24/7. Or you could select custom and just choose your own time here. Just note, this is local TradingView hours, time zone. Next is end of day close. So the active trading session, if custom is selected, you will then select custom end of day close hour. Just I needed to add a little fix. This is Eastern time zone, actually. Well, this is local TradingView time zone setting. It is a bit confusing, but this is specifically for custom only. If you select your region and turn end of day on, it will the last trade of the day will be the last bar of the session. So you don't have to like determine what at which hour it is. This is only if you wanna customize it. And while this uses just simple integer input number, it was easier and it made more sense to make this Eastern, while this is an actual local time zone. So yeah, this is, I doubt much people will be using custom. This is very custom setup, and only if you will use it. If you have any questions, just let us know. So this one is one candle before last. As you know, stocks, for example, for New York, this bar would close at 3 p.m. Central Time, 4 p.m. Eastern Time, and if this would be a stock, you would no longer be able to close this trade. Since this indexes do allow until 4:15. So if you trade stocks, just check this button and it's gonna move this on the bar before last. This is so that you have time. You'll get alerted 5 minutes before market closes. Now it's gonna change backtesting results. Usually not much, but just keep that in mind. So even if you're gonna use if you want to still close right before the market close, you'd still be alerted 5 minutes before that. So now let's move to the signal trigger matrix. It's a bit of a different, it's a bit newer than what we usually have in our trading indicators, since this is a bit more complicated. Now trading engine is simply the trading engine. If it's off, there'll be no trades open. Like the actual strategy tester will no longer work. There'll be just labels. Market session only removes, like you see, there is pre-market, post-market. By default, it will, not by default, but it will show those labels here, which are not really needed. And TradingView is limited in terms of how much labels it can display on the chart. So to save up space, also the lines as well. You see, those lines will appear only if there's going to be a crossing, a break, or a bounce. So that's why it's on by default. So, but if you want to see those pre-market, you can switch this off. Next is plot. This should be pretty self-explanatory. Plot S&R levels, plot trend lines. They are what they are, the trend lines and S&R levels. This is the default labels. As you can see, there's a long open, but those labels still appear. They get in the way. As these labels can be used for scalping, they could still be used to see what's going on with the market. But if you wish to switch them off, just uncheck it here for a cleaner chart, then they're all going to be gone. So there's still going to be trades open, just no labels. And this is use. So like it's in here, it says plot, and here it says use. So use current support resistance, use historical levels, same way use trend lines, current levels, and historical levels. So in here, for example, this is a historical support resistance. If we turn this off, there'll be no trade here, as it's using this support. This resistance comes from, where does it come from? Oh wait, we just switched it off. Hold on. So yeah, now it opened a different. Now it opened historical trend line breakout because it's still turned on. So if we switch this off, this trade will be gone. So you can see now it's gone. Let's turn those back on. So the historical level, which was broken here, let's trace it. Make sure we trace it. Right now we have a pretty high number, a pretty high settings set for support resistance, so it will only see there is more historical breakouts, but how far it actually, there it is. This is the actual level, and it comes from here. This is, you can see this is pretty strong level, and of course it's customizable how strong or precise levels for both support resistance and trend lines are. So let's continue further down. Breaks or bounces. So this includes bounces and breaks, and these labels actually show what's what. So they're all turned on. The bounces will be two arrows. Like for example, for example, the first one is breakout. You see just one arrow up, and it's a bar which barely closes above the level. This one is a bounce. As you can see, it's down then up, so it went down through the actual level, but it closed above it, so it's a bounce. Similar down, as you can see, and you can see the levels. It's already in front. So yeah, if it's a light label, it's up. Dark, it's down. You can see in here, it's a bounce, and in here it's a breakthrough. In here it's a bounce. So that's the concept. So which one to use? I mean, depends. I mean, if both are checked, whatever comes first wins the trade, basically. If market sentiment is turned on, as you can see that green circle, green squares, and in here they're red. This is basically market sentiment. Which uses higher highs, lower highs, or lower highs and lower lows. It may be a bit of a delay. This is basically an oscillator. It works pretty well, but I mean, it can't catch these sudden huge moves, of course. So you got to take that into consideration. But overall, as you can see, if it's a green, the trend is bullish, like in here. Like these sudden spikes, of course, it can't catch, but the overall trend it does catch, and you can basically use that market sentiment. It's also integrated into the trading engine, so it can be turned on off. So, and we'll see that later. So for example, yeah, if it's green, it only bounces up, and breakthroughs up will be considered, or will be valid signal triggers. So next, signal, regular, combo. Those are more of experimental ones. Mostly, the most configs you'll see, they're gonna be regular signals, which is a break or a bounce, or break or a bounce. These are combinations, specific combinations. Like this is SNR combo, will require an current level and historical level. So technically, if there would be a bar crossing this and this at the same time, it would be a signal, considered valid signal. This is, I mean, right now it's a bit too precise to catch such signals, and And I mean, just you can play around with it. It is an just keep in mind this is an experimental. Like it is working. It's just it is experimental. Similar to, they're all explained here. How each one works. And if they're all checked, whatever comes first wins the trade. So next, historical look back number of days. It's set pretty far right now, and it's this purple bar here. You can see this is basically how far the script will look back to use levels for historical breakouts. And for example, let's see. Yeah, so this is basically how far the script will look for the actual, like, for example, this trend line. Let's switch. Let me prepare a little bit. So I switched off support and resistance historical signal trigger, but we still have trend line. You see it comes from a long time ago. April 15th. This is almost a month ago, and 120 days fit that month. So if we switch the historical days to like 10 days, for example, this signal should go away because 10 days ago this trend line no longer existed, basically. I mean, it did exist, but not from 10 days ago. So yeah, this is, hopefully that explains what this is. Now this second part may be even more confusing. This is historical look back invalidation. So let's set this back to 120, and set this to 10. This feature, you see it's gone once again. What does that mean? I set it to 10 days. So basically consider this as a road, for example, and this is how many days the levels are valid. So for example, 10 days is gonna be this rectangle. This is 10 days. If this trend line would appear within previous 10 days from here, it would consider valid. Since it appeared much longer time ago, it's no longer valid. So this is like a bus driving on the road of like invalidation bus. See, in here it's valid. So I mean, it has to be probably longer, but in here, yeah, this trend line starts from here. So this is where this trend line comes from, and the bus, invalidation bus, is still within the range. So you see this breakout of this trend line. Once the bus is gone, in here it's no longer valid. It is a bit confusing, but hopefully the bus analogy explains it. So yeah, if the trend line would appear within here, within this bus, it would be legit, or would be active, valid. It's also explained here, just like everything else in these bubbles. So keep that in mind. Okay, this one it's for both SNR and trend lines, support resistance combined into one entity, as by default, even this example is good. By default, yellow, the colors you can change, is support, while the blue is top resistance. So for breakout, by default with this turned off, it's supposed to be resistance broken, right? The support's supposed to be broken down, so you can see this is no longer valid because this was support. But as you know, support can become resistance. So this setting basically makes support and resistance the same thing. Hopefully that explains it. It's explained here really well. So next is support and resistance configurations. Here are the colors. You can set everything the same color. This is the left right bars, the pivot bars, basically how far the pivots should be calculated. The bigger this number is, the more precise, or the maybe not precise, but the bigger the support and resistance levels are, or like they have to be much bigger, and unlike it has to be at least 20 bars down to be considered a big pivot point, you know. So yeah, so basically the less and more precise, I think you can call it more precise, less and more precise support resistance levels, same with trend lines, you want the bigger those numbers should be. And they're separated out for current and for historical. Both include custom resolution. As you can see, it's set to 1 hour while we on 15 minutes. If it's going to be set to off the chart and use 15 minutes, you see this support resistance current level. You see now it's more of them. And yeah, it's much. And I think it was set for too big. Like right now it seems a little better because it catches all these levels pretty good right now. And why they are not come directly, this is when you're gonna actually see them, because those levels, you don't know here if it's a level or not yet. You need time to determine, will this be a resistance or not. That's why this is where you will actually know that this was a resistance. Similar with trend lines. How do you know if it's gonna be support or not for here, for example? That's why where they're dashed lines, this is where the trend line gets originated. It's not there yet. You don't know that it's there yet. You can actually turn these off if they're confusing, because it may get confusing. It may look like trend lines are originating exactly where they are. And you have this show trend line development. You can shut this down, turn this off, and then trend lines in similar way will only appear where they actually are real. Well, you know where they are, where it did not exist. So yeah, the dashed lines show them where they did not exist yet technically, while dotted is the extension. If you extend them. Yeah, speaking of extending to the right, you can see right now some of them are extended, some are not. So they only get extended trend lines. Let me switch this back on. So trend lines get extended only if they're getting crossed by default. Similar to support resistance levels, only they're not extended, as otherwise it gets very messy. But they are gonna be drawn here slightly so you know there's actually a level. Only if they're getting crossed for historical levels, not for current levels. They're gonna be there no matter what. Historical level is gonna be drawn only if they're crossed. You can manually override this and just extend them all to the right. Just keep in mind that it may become very dirty and have a messy chart. Also, it's gonna be limited. You see, TradingView is very limited to how many trend lines it can draw at the same time, so it may not display a big chunk of them will not be displayed. So keep that in mind. Same for trend lines. You can extend them the same way. You can force extend them to the right. So yeah, the only other difference really between trend lines and support and resistance is trend lines has line slope confirmation. As by default, if it's support trend line, it's supposed to go up like this, upper trend line, and if it's broken, it has to be like this, so upper slope. Same way for downtrend, supposed to be down slope. If down slope is broken up, that means it's broken, the trend is broken, and it can be turned off as well. You can switch it off right here. Now that warning, the repaint warning, this is what causes it. It both has this trend lines and support and resistance. Live breakout bounce alert show. If we turn this on, we're gonna see additional arrows. For example, now you see these green red arrows. Now what they mean is they will immediately appear during live breakout or bounce. So for example, for this yellow bar, once it starts crossing down this level, you immediately see this arrow, this red arrow, and if an alert will be turned on, it's gonna immediately trigger. It's not gonna wait for the bar to close. Same way for this. This is a bounce one. It will first show breakout, but then it will show bounce down. That's why it's you get this warning that it may repaint, because it does repaint. For example, this one, yellow, there is no arrow, even though it did cross. You can see that it crossed the level. It's crossed, but there was no arrow. It was there when it crossed, but when it went back, the arrow disappeared. So you would still get an alert, but then it went back. So it can be used with scalping. So this is, once again, as I mentioned before, we added this a while ago for, I think, for Camarilla Pivots indicator, as somebody requested it as they use it for scalping. So yeah, keep that in mind. And this can be used for both support resistance and trend lines. Work the same way. So let's move to the take profit system. By default, it's gonna be set to SNR current historical static levels, which show you them here, for example. Let me see, let me find a good example. Well, this one is a good example. Yep. So there is a long open here. You can see this is the circles, and they come from this level, which is current historical resistance, and it comes from here. So this is your take profit 1, and you can see it's taken right here. And I think right now, why is it set again? Let me set this to 3, so we at least see. Okay. So and this is the default, and probably the best to use. Let me set this to 3 as well. Yeah, make sure the amount of contracts, or those are stocks if you use stock, or lots if you use forex. Make sure it is dividable by this number, because if you select 3 number of targets, and this will be a 1, the strategy will be confused, and there will be like a square here that the trade has to be closed at the end of the day, but the strategy will not close anything because the trade technically will be closed at take profit 1 because there's only one contract. As you can see in here, it only found one take profit level. It did not find any other levels. And when it does not find another level, and these are resistance levels, it does not use resistance for take profit levels. Only, I'm sorry, these are support levels. It only uses resistance, and how far it goes back, you see it cannot find it. As much as it goes back, it does not find a level. If it does not find a level, it says no TP SL ATR trail. That means it switches it switches stop loss from support to ATR trail, because there is no take profit level, so you don't know how far it will go, so you're just gonna use ATR trail stop loss. Same way same way for trend lines. If it uses trend lines, it's gonna do the same thing. Let's go back to here. Yeah, current historical. This one is dynamic breaks. This is a bit experimental, but each break of a level with this setting will be a take profit. So for example, okay, so dynamic levels. Here's a great example. We're open. The trade is open here by breakout of the historical support level. It breaks that level again, but it closes higher, which fits the condition. Not the best here, but it fits the condition. So this is a take profit 1. Take profit 2 is taken upon next break of now it's trend line. So whatever is for this dynamic setting, whatever is turned on here, use SNR current levels, use this levels, use whatever is turned on here, and whatever is turned on here, breaks need to be turned on for this. This is gonna be considered, and if it's above trade open, it's considered take profit. So it is experimental, but as an interesting approach. So the majority of configs find better results with static levels, so just keep that in mind. This is stop loss system. So this is number of targets. Just make sure it's dividable, or it has at least one contract or a stock or whatever for each take profit, and it is dividable. Stop loss system, once again, the configs work best with SNR static, which is basically static support resistance, whatever it finds. Once again, it is advanced. If it doesn't find, it automatically sets it to ATR Trailing SL. Stop loss, you can set it to always be ATR Trailing SL. So whatever you want. Now there is trendline static SL, which basically uses trendline to set. I drew that to set the stop loss based on the current trend line. If it's below or above, like here, but it uses the static level, like where the trend line is right now. Dynamic. Similar dynamic will actually trace that trend line. It's actually going to use that trend line as a stop loss. It is experimental. Did not see it much in configs, but it is pretty interesting approach. And I mean, the problem with it is sometimes, like even here, it's not the best stop loss, to be honest. In here, probably would be best to just use this resistance. So that's why configs usually find the configs we find usually find best results through static support resistance stop loss. This is even more experimental. This is basically an opposite signal trade while current trade is in loss. It is explained here. It is an interesting approach. Basically, it's an whatever I just said. It's an opposite signal while the current trade is in loss. So yeah, I don't know. You need to. I'll probably need a while to find. Like there is a stop loss here. I can see. So somehow determined that it's an opposite one. So it is an interesting approach. But yeah, once again, this is experimental. You're probably gonna be best off using static SL or ATR trailing. But yeah, feel free to play around. It's interesting. This is just stop loss ATR trailing SL. You keep in mind, or what it is configured to is, once again, if it's set to static and there is it cannot find. Same for trend lines, it cannot find a stop loss. It will automatically switch to ATR trailing SL. So these settings are always important. You can completely switch off stop loss. Do not recommend, but I mean, with intraday on, end of day off. End of day on, your trade is gonna close no matter what at the end of the day. So, play safe. This is the market sentiment I talked before. It's this bar on top, which tries to catch the bigger trend picture. Basically, if you turn it on here, only it's gonna check for that trend sentiment. If it matches the trade, only then the trade will open. If not, it will not open. And this is our typical advanced signal analysis and cleanup. This is bar color, directional structure. If it's the bar has to be basically a healthy bar. Has to make sure the bar is in the same direction. Doji skip, the uncertain bars will be skipped. No trade will be open. This is right now turned on. Elliott wave is on. As you can see, it only opens a trade. It shows the label that it's currently bullish. You will not open it if it's not bullish. There's no way to show that Elliott wave oscillator. That's why there's going to be a label here. Same way for this divergence RSI plus MACD. There is no way to put this on the chart. That's why it will show. Same way, it's going to show a label like this. Why is the trade open? Because it is confirmed by divergence, or it is confirmed by whatever it is confirmed. So yeah, right now it's RSI, MACD. Otherwise, there's VWAP, moving average. For example, we can just put this on. There's gonna there'll be no label like this, but the moving average we can place directly on the chart, and you can see how it's gonna look. It's right there. So if it's above, this long signal is validated. If it's not, if it's below, there'll be the same here. Not a good signal, but it fits the condition. So yeah, the same way all of these work. Signal analysis. You can read about them on the web page of the indicator. Yeah, all of them are explained here. So yeah, feel free to review them there. Yeah, it includes oscillators, use moving average, ATR, volume, anything basically you want, and all of them are kind of classical features. This is not. They're in a nice chain of events basically, so you can just you can push your signal through the chain of this analysis, and if it fits every analysis, then your signal is good. Just keep in mind, if you turn everything on, it may not be a good thing. You'll probably have like 10 signals in a year, so keep that in mind. It's usually good to turn at least not more than 2 or 3, 4 max features at the same time. So next is alerts. This is just a standard alert for each order or strategy or a trade signal. It's a JSON output, so if you have a broker which supports JSON alerts to automate your trades, this is the label for each JSON data. You can modify it however you want. Broker needs coin, include coin. You can do this symbol, and the alert will basically show symbol, QQQ or SPY or whatever, Bitcoin. You can set your leverage, everything, whatever you need. However you need it set up. If you want to use Pine script, Pine connector alerts, you can just turn this on, put in your license ID, make sure your symbol matches your symbol here, and it matches the symbol in MetaTrader broker. Set your trade size, include this if needed, the stop loss filler. This is specifically for specific brokers which require stop loss to be immediately included with the trade open. We have a nice section, each of our indicators which support after trading. You can find it here, you can find it here. It's a extensive guide, including video guide with actual live example, how it works. You can set up full automation. It shows how to monitor it. All you need is you need the TradingView, of course. You need a subscription with Pine connector, and then you need a broker which supports MetaTrader. Then you can set this automation. Just monitor your trades on the go. You can literally monitor it on your phone. It's a lot of fun. We do provide assistance with setup for a fee, of course. So just contact us using our form. So this is it for inputs. The properties, just make sure you use correct commission or slippage. You can find it on our website. We explain it on the main page under how to start trading, under where is it, in the fact section, also in Trading 101. This is what we use. You can find it here as well. This is what we use, and this is very similar to reality. Shows the most real results. What commission do you want per you want it per trade, or do you want it per actual order? So you can see for futures it's $2.50 for typical indexes, $5 for Bitcoin or oil or mini futures, while micro futures or just need 2.5. So this is basically $2.50 per contract. And like for Forex, you would want slippage. So for gold, you would want 32 slippage. You can see it here, for example. The spread is 32, which is 3.2 pips. So you can find everything on our website. How to set up the properties here, inputs, but yeah, and yeah, the initial capital, just make sure it matches the, as you can see under each. Yeah, let me show you one of the configs. We usually include one free one. Here's a free config for micro S&P 500 index micro futures. It shows 723% in 3 years. Initial capital should always match max drawdown. That's basically how far this whole setup went throughout the life of this all 325 trades. As you can see, it never went negative, but you don't know at which point you're gonna start trading this. As you can see, for example, in here, you see this. If you would start here, you would go down quite a bit. I think this is where it goes down up, like up to $6,300. So you got to keep in mind and make sure set your initial capital to the max drawdown. This is gonna give you the most realistic picture of how far, like how much capital do you need to start trading this strategy. And some have big, some have smaller ones. As you can see, some or on the intraday setups may have a smaller, like this one has only $700 drawdown, while it has bigger percentage. So you can just browse our strategies. They each $5. It takes time to research these, test them out, make sure they work. So $5 I think is a good deal. Well, anyways, this one is free, and when you purchase one, you'll receive something like this, which is basically a full config. You see this trading indicator is quite advanced, so there's a lot of configurations you need to input. So let me just move this aside and enter it here, and then I'll continue. So I have entered all the configs. It's 15 minutes. I switched to micro E-mini S&P 500 index features. You can see it matches it now matches the results here. Let me just close all these. So yeah, and this is a deep back testing 325. So if we turn this off for about a little less than a year, it shows 148%, which is it's a good return. The max drawdown is less, so technically if we use this drawdown, it's gonna be even bigger, like 300%, but it's best to at least have 3 years of data. Even better 5 years. Just futures, there's unfortunately it only gives 3 years. And in here you can actually see very well. It went down negative $2,868. So that's why it's important to make sure the initial capital closely matches max drawdown. As for example, the problem often, especially with people selling strategies, they just put here top $1,000 and generate report, and there it is, 4,555%. Nice, right? And you know what's funny? This would actually work for this particular strategy, for this particular time span. Yeah, you could start trading with $1,000, you would get this. But that basically there is a luck in here. If you would start here, you would lose your $1,000 and that's it. So before you start trading, you need to make sure your initial capital matches max drawdown. So yeah, this is it for today. Hopefully it was a great session, very informative. And yeah, just contact us almost everywhere on our website. In the bottom you can find our contact form. Just contact us if you have any questions. Yeah, thanks for watching. Bye bye.